Good morning. What what a bleak day. What a bleak day it is today. And I feel overexposed. So let's sort that out. How are you doing? Um, Thought I'd have a dip in and have a bit of chat. Was up bright and early this morning. Um, and walked the dog in the rain, so the dog didn't get walked as far because it's awful out there. And did some reading. I thought, well, let's go early, and let's sit in the office for a bit earlier. So it's nice to be sat talking with you. Here we are. Um, so I was thinking today, um, my little my little phrase for the title page there was small steps, small wins, success, and this is something that I talk about a lot when I'm talking about self-care and productivity. That the little things we do accumulate over time, mount up over time, and become big wins. But it, it needs us to hang on to them and do them with discipline and focus for quite some time. And people will often say when I'm doing these sessions, so you're telling me, Stephen, that drinking a couple of less cups of coffee a day, or drinking a little bit less on a night, or planning my diary, or doing whatever, for 10 minutes a day, or just taking 10 minutes out every hour, and those kind of things, it'll be a real help. And I'm like, yeah, but if you do them for a couple of days and then stop, then it won't be. And there's something about kind of the fact that it sometimes gets harder than before it gets easier. So we've got to kind of steel ourselves to create some good habits. Got to create some good habits, and in creating those good habits, I think one of the key things is not to push ourselves too hard too soon. And we've got new students in the university where I work right now, and we've got other students coming back, and I talk about developing the habit of reading a lot of the time, because um, one of the key aspects of academic endeavor is to read, expose yourself to the literature. But it's dead easy in those first weeks, and I've been there with all sorts of things: exercise, nutrition, study, and it's dead easy to get enthusiastically carried away and think, oh, I'll read for 3 hours tomorrow, or I'll run 5 miles, or whatever, or I'll eat absolutely nothing tomorrow, or whatever. You get carried away and you try and do too much. Whereas if you just try to read for, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, or you go for a walk, or you fix your breakfast, or whatever it happens to be in terms of whatever you're trying to achieve. If we just take those small steps, then suddenly we find, like, doing the 10 minutes is quite easy, quite straightforward. And then we find we're doing 15 minutes, and then we find we're doing 20 minutes, and we get ourselves engaged. And eventually we've built a habit, and we just do it without kind of thinking about it. And that's the position we need to get to. And I think back, and I think the things that I just do now without even contemplating the doing, I just do them. It's just become routine. And one of the things that I'm always keen to do, I like to think, what would some of my favorite motivators, productivity gurus, what would they say? What would they say about this issue? So it's a thing that I've started doing, and it fascinates me. I pulled a few books off the shelf and thought, what would this person say? What would this person say? Anyway, I didn't pull a book off the shelf because it's an audio book I've got, but I started with David Goggins because I'm into the fitness thing at the minute. And that's a story in itself. I'm doing Couch to 5K now. If you know me historically, or you've heard me talk before, you'll know that in the past, going back a few years now, mind, but I've ran marathons. I've ran countless half marathons, lost track. And even last year when I had this little health thing, I was still going out and running park run, several times each month, or a few times each month, maybe not weekly, but certainly 2 or 3 times a month. And I've started doing Couch to 5K because what I wanted to do was not do too much too soon after a little procedure that I've had, not do too much too soon, but also I wanted to try and do something where felt I was running within myself all the time, to motivate myself to go, well, I'm not aching, I'm not sore, I could do a bit more. So next time it comes up and it is a bit more each time, kind of thing, then then I'll do more, and that'll be good. And I found it really beneficial. And as a side note, as a side note, um, because I've got back into the exercise through this, I've moved beyond just walking. I'm sleeping better. I'm feeling more refreshed when I wake up. I've got pain in my shoulder, which I think's off using the mouse and stuff. I think it's maybe one of these repetitive strain injuries, whatever they are. I think it's maybe one of them. And even that's improved. Well, when I'm running, I'm not using my shoulder. What's that all about? Well, it's about the fact that our bodies are designed to be active. So everything is better in some way if you're more active. Anyway, so that got me to David Goggins. What would David Goggins say to me? And David Goggins, if you've not come across him, he's a one for the mental toughness. He talks about callousing your mind, so you've got to push yourself. And I think he would probably say that repeatedly taking small steps, overcoming difficult circumstances, would toughen up your mental resilience. I think he'd say that it's not about achieving monumental tasks. It's about just making simple, straightforward decisions, but doing them consistently, so you callous your mind. And then the other book, just randomly, I just looked along and thought, oh, what would he say? Daniel Pink, he wrote a book called Drive, which is about motivation, very good book, and he wrote a book called When. And I thought that's a fascinating book. And it talks about the fact that it's not just what you do that's important, it's when you do it. And he talks a lot about that, like when's the best time to exercise and that kind of stuff. And I think he'd argue that if we're going to master something, which is all part of this state of flow, if you're going to master something, then incremental steps where you're not put off by kind of failure, I suppose, that incremental steps would reinforce the small victories of incremental steps, the easier victories of incremental steps will keep you motivated. And whereas when you try to do big things and you don't, if you achieve the big thing, fair enough. But if you try to do a big thing and you fall short, it saps your momentum, it saps your motivation. So I think that's what he'd say. And then Cal Newport, I've spotted his books on the shelves. Like, what would Cal Newport say? And he's wrote some great books. Deep Work is one of my favorites of his. He's wrote some other good stuff. And he would say that dedicating your time to small cognitive tasks, so he's in the cognitive world, dedicating your time to small cognitive tasks where you just chip away at things would probably help. I mean, he is if I think about him, he is somebody who says you get into your deep work and stay focused on a task for a period of time. But, he does also talk about the fact that instant success, being driven to strive for instant success, is problematic. This mastery is built up gradually over time by discipline. And then Bruce Daisley, good writer. One of my favorite books is The Joy of Work, and he was I was quite high up in Twitter, I believe. Not that that's a necessarily thing to be proud of, but there you go. Well, maybe not now. Maybe it was then. Daisley, I think, would suggest that in terms of work, making small adjustments to how you work, those little planning sessions, those little 5-minute walks outside, or just contemplation and reflection or breathing, that those little changes like that would improve things overall. So I think Daisley would say that. So yes, with Goggins, small steps build mental toughness. Grinding. He's a one for grinding through the day kind of thing. Just keep going, no matter how small the little thing is. Just get it done, or try it out, or whatever. Do that one press up, do that one pull up. Do those 5 squats when you're waiting for the kettle to do. Just do those little things and make sure you're doing them. Daniel Pink would talk about intrinsic motivation, I suppose, and taking small steps over a long period of time. Cal Newport would say that those little steps, those deliberate actions, lead to mastery of habits, of process over time. And Bruce Daisley would say that small changes to what you do, adding small things into the day that refresh you, that replenish you, would be really positive. So there you go. There you go. Without a doubt, small steps lead to small wins, which lead to success. Have a good day.